Something very interesting came across my desk the other day, and that is this Twitter post. Aylin on Twitter, Aylin, started a Twitter poll, basically tournament, to decide what is the best story chapters of everything that happened in 2025. And I thought it'd be interesting to talk about because, as a lot of you know, I play Arknights specifically for the story. I have personally read every single thing here except for ending 3 of IS6 because we just haven't gotten there yet. My major disclaimer, I don't remember a lot of these in terms of like what happens in the nitty-gritty, like the pacing and everything, like how good the pacing was, the interpersonal relationship between a lot of NPCs, the pros, stuff like that. So during Christmas, instead of hanging out with my family, I read the synopses for every single one of these stories. Chapter 16 pitted against Masses Travels this early is crazy. I agree. So to me, a Kazdelian rescue, it felt like, I mean, what it was an analyzation of the Kazdel of today is compared to the Kazdel of before, the consequences of the war in the Londinium, the aftermath of the Babel stuff of chapter 14, the whole thing with Teresa's and Teresa. It felt more like a world-building piece rather than its own actual story. And that's why I rate Kazdelian Rescue below the Pepe event, because the Pepe event actually is a story. I can't remember how well paced it was. I thought it was fine, but the side characters, for example, each had their own individual storylines, which I thought were very strong, especially Narantuya. I thought her being a girl failure was very funny. It's a lot of tradition versus where we are now. With the Pharaoh, what Zubair's original task is, and the future and coping in what's the world now, which is Zubair without his memories, what Pepe is doing right now because she's the latest in her line versus the record bearers of before. And I think that's also very apparent with Narantuya, because as soon as Zubair finds Narantuya and he recognizes his memories, it's all about, oh, this is a Kagon. This girl needs to go on her Kagon quest. But Narantuya is like, this shit got nothing to do with me. Sure, I'm ethnically like the Kagon tribe or whatever, but that shit ain't me. I'm doing my own thing. Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing. And I thought that was really interesting. It was very much a play on the past versus the future. And I thought that was really cool. And that's why I put the Pepe event above it. My problem is a lot of what's great about Kazdel is in the Babel and Chapter 14 events. So I just feel like this is not the best compared to those, because I've seen better Kazdel discussion. IS5 versus ending of a Grand Overture. IS5 I automatically rate fairly low, not because the storylines are bad, because they're good. Like, I like the alternate endings that we see of the different realities that Kazdel can become and the Sarkaz can become, stuff like that. The issue is how disjointed this story is told. I think the way IS tells its story kind of sucks. There's zero lore, and then you reach an ending, and then you get lore. Then there's zero lore, you get stuck on ending 4 for a month straight, and then you finally beat ending 4, and then you get lore. The lore itself is very good, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it's not as good as an explicitly told story. It's like a storytelling method issue here. That's why I think Ending of a Grand Overture is better. If you guys don't remember, Ending of a Grand Overture is the Vina Victoria event where it was about Victoria and the Londinium coping after the fact of the Victorian War against Kazdel and against the Sarkaz. I feel like a lot of this one is about very strong nitty-gritty themes of the terrors of war, the PTSD of veterans, the unfortunate resulting racism against the Sarkaz that just kind of happens because, one, they already were like persecuted against, but then also because the Sarkaz invaded the Londinium. Well, there's a lot of innocent Sarkaz that already lived in the Londinium. There's a lot of Sarkaz that fought against the Sarkaz that invaded Londinium, aka Babel, Rhodes Island, and stuff. And you saw that theme of racism throughout the entire Londinium arc, and it kind of comes to a heading here where a lot of Sarkaz are getting persecuted, to the point where Wishadel, Hodorer, and Enos had to like just bail them all out of Victoria. Get on the lifeboat, we're going back to Kazdel. Sorry, I know this is a lot of y'all's home, but you will be killed here. The observation of these dark themes is really interesting. What really stands out to me were some lines I used in my Arknights glazing video. This was my favorite, one of my favorite parts of a Grand Overture. The Sigh of Kings being passed on from soldier to soldier was such a cool moment. So I have a Google Doc of stuff that really interests me in terms of stories that I read, and you're gonna find a lot of this is a fanfic. Arknights, Honkai Star Rail, JJK, like a bunch of random manga, manhwa, movies, TV shows, fanfiction, everything. And I tend to write down quotes that stick to me because the end thing I want to do with my life is I want to make a game. Part of that game is writing a story. That's why I want to use these as reference. And you'll see that in the Vina Victoria event, I talk about the suffering of the exemplars. I don't have a home anymore. I only have you. And the Sigh of Kings being passed from soldier to soldier as each one dies fighting in the middle of the final battle. I thought those two moments really stuck with me. I thought they were really well written. I think I'm just having the opposite opinions than what everyone else is saying. I think ending of a Grand Overture is better than IS5 because of the storytelling and the themes throughout. Alright, next is the Delicious in Dungeon collab event and Portatori dei Veluti, which I cannot pronounce, obviously. So Delicious in Dungeon, really funny event. Obviously, it's funny to see these characters just kind of fuck around, get infected by Seaboard. But at the end of the day, it's like you said, Bowl of White Rice, it's just a silly little story, which is a little wacky little adventures. Wacky little hijinks with the crew. But, the Lappy event is strong story. Like, it's just incomparable. One's an actual story, one is a chain of slice of life events. While not, in my opinion, it's not as strong as the first Sirakusano event, the Texas Altar event, I still felt that the Lapland event was really cool. I thought the side characters was really strong. Crown Slayer had a wonderful side quest. Project Red's crashing out was really well done. Also, Leon getting the short end of the stick, being the leader that the city needs, and then immediately getting hit by a truck. Can I say that's real unfortunate? First, you get clowned on for your dog shit ass kit, Leon. And then you get hit by a damn truck in your story. But yeah, these are kind of incomparable. That definitely is better than Delicious in Dungeon. The next comparison we have is Exodus of the Pale Sea, and the next one is Such is the Joy of Our Reunion. This one is a little bit tougher. I think they're fairly close. I think Such is the Joy of Our Reunion is probably one of the better, if not the best written Sui event, I think. Yu was the least interesting part of the event himself, but he did get his moment to shine at the very end, where it's like, hey, I just want my siblings to... Can we all sit around the dinner table? Can we all not eat a delicious meal together? What I personally found really interesting, the mystery of Blaze Alter and her sister, who you find out is her sister. I forget her name off the top of my head, but I thought that was a really cool, well-done storyline. Lazy just kind of getting the short end of the stick, trying to investigate, her mentor being strange. Correct me if you guys think I'm wrong here, but I feel like the Sui events are very off on their own. They barely have any interaction with the rest of the world, and the most tie-in they get is Lungman. But I remember Exodus of the Pale Sea way more. I thought I remembered it being tightly paced. I really like a lot of the side characters in this one, especially the captain, Juana, or whatever her name is, the little pirate lady who I thought was going to die, who I was pleasantly surprised did not die. I thought she was really well done. The fuck-ass, what's her name, Rose Quartz? The little red thing, little creature with the amazing English dub, was such a funny character. I personally edge Exodus of a Pale Sea above Such is the Joy of Our Reunion, but I think that's just a matter of taste. I just tend to dislike the Sui events, but I do think they're fairly comparable. Okay, next is See You Soon versus When Elegies or Ashes. I thought When Elegies or Ashes was a really cute tale between... Not cute, more depressing. More depraved. The themes present and the nuance present in When Elegies or Ashes are better than See You Soon. See You Soon is the culmination of every storyline up to this point in the Londinium arc, and then the separation onto their own separate ways. There's a lot going on in See You Soon, and none of it is really standalone. It's all built off of previous stories all coming together, and then kind of being like an advertisement is saying, hey, all these storylines are about to end or continue. So I think See You Soon is worse inherently than When Elegies or Ashes because it cannot be standalone. It must be connected to everything else. This feels like the Avengers Age of Ultron of Arknights, where everyone comes together and it is an advertisement for what comes next rather than is its own story. Yeah, Intelichia, who I don't know how to pronounce her name, her storyline is like, why? It's a world-building thing for the military court in Kazdel, but it didn't really go anywhere. Intelichia's whole thing with the princess, the fallen Rose Riverdale sister, like, there was no reason for me to care about that. They barely talked about this at all. Like, this character was just there. But also, dude, actually, they killed that kid, I just remembered. Holy shit, y'all remember the kid that the blacksmith was watching? This event was so dark, and they explored it so well. I thought it was so cool. Yeah, when Elegies or Ashes are rated way better than See You Soon. I don't really get why they're compared at all. They are not comparable. They are not close. Next is Dissociative Recombination and The Masses Travel. These two should meet at the finals, but for some reason they're down here. Dissociative Recombination is chapter 15. This is the culmination of everything that's happened. It felt like every single event in Arknights span, in Arknights history, led to this chapter. And it did so in a way that felt like it wasn't like See You Soon, where you could just not read the other chapters and you could get the general gist of it, which I thought is a major strength towards it. Dissociative Recombination, I don't think has a single bad part. I think every single character is interesting, from the new Amiya under Priestess to the elite operators popping off in their We Are Avengers Endgame moment. Priestess in general is a terrifying force. The story mechanics, or sorry, the gameplay mechanics, even though we're not talking about that, were crazy cool. The only part I would say kind of sucks about this, the Doctor and Amiya entering Civilite Eterna, the nebulous blob of, oh, the sea of information is receding. Oh, the sea of information is rough now. Oh, the sea of information is whatever now. I thought that was completely pointless. Like, I get what they're trying to say. They're trying to make it like, the journey there is really tough, but like, they didn't really say anything. It was just kind of word garbage. Didn't really mean anything. I thought that part was mid, and then they got to like actually viewing the past and actually seeing the ship, and then that was cool where they like read the whiteboard. But other than that, this was a really, really good story. This is kind of like the peak of what like modern Arknight storytelling is to me, where it brings in a lot of characters that you care about. It references a lot of the past. It makes a lot of it matter, and it propels you towards this insane Priestess Originium storyline, which I think is really interesting. I rate Dissociative Recombination really highly, and it's compared to The Masses Travel. This is one of the stronger events. To me, it's like Dissociative Recombination, The Masses Travel, Lone Trails, and Babel are near the peak. Anyways, The Masses Travel, I thought, was one of the most interesting stories that I've read in Arknights, where it was tackling a crisis of faith in ways I haven't seen before. Funnily enough, Exusier Alter's storyline was the least interesting part of it. I thought every other storyline was really good. I thought Lemuin was really cool, with her trying to piece together what the fuck is happening. I thought, the student of the actual gunsmith, the one who's mute, who realized she was mute, she was really well written, and I really liked her final scene with the CG where Fiametta's grandfather, like, pointed her gun towards him. I thought that was really cool. Anduin's development, yep, you're right, cinema. Anduin popped off. Anduin? I actually never learned how to pronounce that name. He popped off during this event. He had the most insane aura, the most insane monologues. I think The Massive Travel does a lot of what Dissociative Recombination does well, in that they expand on the world of Arknights really well, in terms of talking about the TCAS and the origin of the Sancta. I think that is kind of... Did you guys see that? Thank you. My sister just pulled up and left the plate of food on my floor. Yeah, I personally rate Dissociative Recombination higher. Y'all agree on Twitter? I think The Masses Travel is easily a second place on this entire list. Easily. Over all of this. It is unfair that they are here. Both here. Act or Die versus Fantasy in a Mirage. If you remember, Fantasy in the Mirage is the precursor to IS-6. I just played that, like, not even a week ago. And I'm gonna say it right now, I rate Act or Die strictly better. To me, Fantasy in the Mirage is better than Kazdelian Rescue. They're the same type of event. The story about the kid obsessed with the stone and then taking the stone with him to adulthood and then eventually handing the stone off to that one Sui guy. I forget his name, the guy everyone hates. I thought that was a really well done story. I like that one a lot. The rest of them don't really compare though. I think this is kind of a layup. Act or Die completely dominates this. Act or Die is just a really cool, tight story. Its own self-contained mystery. I actually don't rate Act or Die the highest, to be honest. I personally thought that the twists were easily seen through. I kind of could instantly tell everything that was going to happen, except for the implanted memories part. That was a twist. That was really good. And I'm pretty sure that was on purpose. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to easily see through the mystery of that she's a killer. I'm pretty sure that was obvious. I just didn't particularly care for the original Tragodia. Like, he's neat. It's cool that he's a long-lived. It's cool that he was kind of pivotal in a lot of the tragedies of the past, but I just didn't particularly vibe with him as a character. I didn't really ever care about Tragodia that much, but Actor Die is still a good story. I like it. Everything past Tragodia himself, I think is done really well. I really like it. I think the actress lady, she's trying to make this her comeback. Her name escapes me. I thought her storyline was really cool. I thought I was gonna hate her. She was great. Her witnessing the catastrophe was one of the coolest scenes. That was really cool. But yeah, hands down, Actor Die destroys fantasy in the Mirage. Alright, next is IS-6 versus Path of Life, aka Dissociative Recombination, yo star. Apparently, IS-6, even if it is equal to IS-5 in terms of quality of story, I think it is still a disjointed scavenger hunt method of telling a story that is inferior to just straight out telling a story. So Path of Life just slams. I thought Path of Life was great. Funnily enough, Old Pianist himself was the least interesting part of it, though he was great. Irene going off with Underflow was really cool. I thought the leader of the Abyssal Hunter project and how the Abyssal Hunters confronted him was really great. I really enjoyed how stuck up all the people of Ager are. Gladia's mom especially is great. She's so stuck up. I fucking love it. I appreciate how above everyone that these people feel. But yeah, story is just straight up better than IS-6. If I were to go through all of these, rather than go bracket through bracket, I think I put Ending of a Grand Overture. I would put Lappy 2 above all these. I would put Dissociative Recombination here. I would put Path of Life here. Lappy 2 here. And I would put Dissociative Recombination 2 here. And then in the finals, Dissociative Recombination, in my eyes, is what wins this whole thing. I do think the second best story here is actually not Lappy, though. It's the Masses Travel. But Dissociative Recombination, to me, the best Arknights story of 2025, hands down. It was great. I love that it's main story. That the main story is the best one is wonderful for the sake of the game. So, as far as what Twitter said, they put IS-5 up in the semifinals, put Lappy 2 in the semifinals. We got this one right. They put Dissociative Recombination in the semifinals. Yep. And they put Actor Die over Path of Life, interestingly enough. I don't know. I'm a Path of Life truther. And then personally, Dissociative would win this all for me, but yeah. And that's all the stories that happened in 2025. I would like to do this having had a fresh read of all these events. But hey, that's all that. Thank y'all for watching.